They tend to be innovative along their traditional lines of business, transport, right? Whether it's wireless or wireline.
Well, I wanted to quiz you on that because you said a few minutes ago we ain't seen nothing yet.
I think there will be innovation on their own in I'll phrase it, their core businesses. Okay. Clearly, we think about Verizon Terramark or CenturyLink Savvis. Carriers recognize the opportunities that exist in the cloud. Between mobility and cloud, those are two very, very fast-moving, high-growth, high-margin businesses. But we don't see, for instance, in the mobile world, carriers developing a lot of applications, right? Just don't see that, right? We see other organizations doing that. And similarly, in this world, I think carriers are going to need to determine what part of cloud they're going to be good at doing natively versus what they need to enable. You and I have had discussions about platform as a service, and I see them as great providers of platform as a service to other cloud service providers, for instance, on billing or on analytics or on location-based services that need, or presence engines that need to be incorporated into other types of applications. Not many see that yet. They see themselves more in the direct to the enterprise, in the B2B space, in the direct to the enterprise world. I don't see that much there. I see them a lot more as enablers of the ultimate providers of the application.
Can I just say one thing on this? You brought up location, and we're talking more about how folks consume IT internally. But I got to say, the one thing that I think is going to change how your own IT architecture is constructed as location services. And so if I were you guys, I would download Foursquare onto my iPhone or my Android phone and literally start playing around with it, because this is one of those things where who knows if Foursquare is going to be the vehicle that is sort of the interface that changes how you interact with businesses. But I think the concept of what Foursquare is doing with the check-in metaphor is pretty powerful. And when you think about it from an affinity program, I think when you think about sensor data to be able to sort of remember things, and I'll give you an example. I don't know if you guys use Instapaper, which is a kind of a read later service. But if you think about Foursquare, if I read an article, I live in LA, and I read something in the LA Times about this is the best tapas place to go in Silver Lake. And I don't live in Silver Lake, but I go, wow, that would be kind of fun. I click visit later. Next thing you know, it goes to my phone, and then boom, I know where I'm at. I mean, you don't do that today, but you just think about how location services with your phone are going to integrate into things that you do every day. I think it's pretty powerful. So if you're a business, you got to sort of think about how do you deal with this sort of machine-generated data that's going to come into your organization. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things that sort of turns the table around, because we all want to talk about the apps we quote unquote use every day to be productive and whatever.
I'm sensing something there.
Well, no, look, if I save a little time or I can cut down on sending emails, that's great. Congratulations. But I think there's some bigger things going on in terms of how you can interface with your customers that I get the sense a lot of people look at some of these location technologies and go, that's just a game. That's just silly. But you go, well, wait a minute. If you take a picture and you can geotag your picture and remember where you're at and upload it to, so there's a lot of stuff that's going on there.
It's invested in a company called Jywire, which deals with location services, and most of their customers are large corporations, because they're finally, as I was saying before, around these mobile devices, whether it is a tablet, whether it is a smartphone, they're starting to understand the power of this, and some people have been talking about the gamification of the enterprise, but it's not only about gaming techniques and how to better engage with it. It's really about utility of service and understanding new ways to extend the applications, even existing applications that engage now your audience in ways that you couldn't before.
Yeah, and I think Lisa touched on it earlier. It's that sort of B2B2C paradigm that previously wasn't really possible, but companies like SAP and IBM now are putting a lot of investment into creating that single source of truth, that transparent interaction that does allow you to match up the right customer service rep with the right consumer and take advantage of maybe their location and do things that just simply weren't possible before. And in the early days, we kind of looked at, okay, mobility solutions needed to take what I'm doing on a piece of paper and put it on a mobile device, but this is completely blowing that up. And it's going to speak to the bottom line, and it's sort of the responsibility, I think, of IT and CIOs to be a part of that and to help lead the business in that B2B to C and back again